Let me jump right into providing you some passages, and let's just start with the prologue of the book, because this is actually in it. Ready? Quote, "All at once, something shifted inside of me. I looked at Willie, really looked at him.
Okay.
Maybe for the first time since we were boys. I took it all in, his familiar scowl, which had always been his default in dealings with me. His alarming baldness, more advanced than my own.
That doesn't make sense.
His famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time, with age. In some ways, he was my mirror. In some ways, he was my opposite. My beloved brother, my arch nemesis. How had this happened?" His alarming baldness. He's alarmed by his brother's receding hairline. He felt the need to put that in a book because it's petty and it's small to offer commentary on how your brother is losing his hair. And it's petty and it's small to say that you don't even look like mommy anymore because you lost your hair.
What do you mean by that?
And petty and small is really what this book is all about. Now, what's incredible is that Harry obviously grew up in palaces. So there's just no way that we can connect, right? How many of us have grown up in palaces? How many of us can write a passage in our book about how we grew up in a castle with our brother?
Good question.
A castle that had 50 bedrooms. He's talking about the castle in Scotland, which was one of the Queen's favorites. Balmoral had 50 bedrooms. He says in chapter 2, one of which had been divided for me and Willie. Adults called it the nursery. Willie had the larger half with a double bed, a good-sized basin, a cupboard with mirrored doors, a beautiful window looking down on the courtyard, the fountain, the bronze statue of a roe deerbuck. My half of the room was far smaller, less luxurious. I never asked why. I didn't care, but I also didn't need to ask. 2 years older than me, Willie was the heir, whereas I was the spare.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Well, you see, Harry, what happens when you divide a room is that somebody does have to get the less better half. Somebody gets the view, somebody doesn't. And typically, Harry, in case no one has ever told you this, the older sibling always gets the bigger room.
Fact.
The bigger side, the bigger everything, because they're the older sibling. This is not unique to you. It is not because you are the spare. It is not because he is the heir. This happens in households all over the world. In fact, I am one of 3 sisters, and we had an older brother.
Nice.
My older brother, would you believe, us 3 sisters had to share a room while our older brother got his own room growing up?
What?
Were we the 3 spares? Is it worthy of putting it into a book? Of course not, but it's not enough because he goes on to describe this dynamic. I was brought into the world in case something happens to Willie. I was summoned to provide backup, distraction, diversion, and if necessary, a spare part.
Is he all right upstairs?
A kidney, perhaps. Blood transfusion. A speck of bone marrow. This is the best part. This was all made explicitly clear to me from the start of life's journey and regularly reinforced thereafter.
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh, does anybody actually believe that it was made explicitly clear to him that they might need him for a speck of bone marrow? This is not even how it works. It's just because you're siblings. Hey, I want to be very clear. Second sibling, you are here for a speck of bone marrow. You're here for a blood transfusion, perhaps, a kidney, perhaps. That's why you're here. And we want to make that explicit. Does he even know what explicit means? I mean, that is such a ridiculous lie that any person told him that he existed for a speck of bone marrow. But go with it, guys, go with it, because he really needs you to realize that these very mundane things that he's experiencing as the younger brother, it's deep and it's a lot. It gets harder because you're not going to believe this.
Okay.
Then him and his brother went to the same school, and that school is Eton. It's an all-boys school. It holds boys from the ages of 13 to 18. It's considered the best school in the UK.
Yeah, right.
He talks about how once he became enrolled in the school, you're not going to believe this, his older brother wanted to make it clear that he didn't want to hang out with him in the school, right? Which is pretty normal. Let's hear it in Harry's old world, because I couldn't dramatize it in the way that he does with his own words.
Okay.
Harry says, Willie told me to pretend that I didn't know him. What? You don't know me, Harold, and I don't know you. For the last 2 years, he explained, Eton had been his sanctuary. No kid brother tagging along, pestering him with questions, pushing up on his social circle. He was forging his own life, and he wasn't willing to give that up.
What do you mean by that?
For Willie, it was pure agony to wear the same blazer, the same tight shorts as me. And now to attend the same school was pure murder.
What?
I told him not to worry. I'll forget I ever knew you. Pure murder. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine that taking place? Siblings saying, hey, don't even talk to me in school. Oh, I bet you could imagine, because this happens in every household. Fact. I actually had the unique scenario where me and my two sisters, because we were all exactly a year and a half apart, all three of us went to the same high school at the exact same time. And of course, we were trying to forge our own existences. We did not want to hang out with each other. We would yell at each other if we wore the same shirt, the same color. We would pull up at school, and I would look at my little sister and be like, don't even look at me today. Don't even look at me if you see me in the hallway. Stop hanging out with the same people as me. I remember, and I'm just coming out with this now because God forbid my little sister writes a book, and it's called Spare, and she talks about the trauma that I put her through. I did this, I want to come clean. When Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera were both dropping their music in the 2000s, I told my sister that she had to pick whether or not she was Team Christina or Team Britney.
That doesn't make sense.
And she said she liked both of their music, and I told her she had to pick, and she picked Britney, and I told her that she wasn't allowed to listen to Christina Aguilera's music or hang out with anybody that liked Christina Aguilera like I did.
What?
So I guess that was a childhood trauma, and it is worthy of $25 million to put into a book about awful treatment. I mean, how absolutely normal is it that Willie does not want to hang out with his little brother in school when he's around him all the time? How absolutely normal that he doesn't want to wear the same clothes. Not if you are Prince Harry. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because this is what happened one time when they were at Eton together. Basically, he goes and he recounts the story about how one of his mates, Harry's mates, completely not related at all to Willie, convinced him to shave off his hair. Right? And so Harry cuts his hair, and the haircut looks really bad. And he starts freaking out and realizes that he's made a big mistake. And all of his mates are screaming and howling in laughter, like, ah, ha, ha, you just shaved your head. You can picture this, because that's how the lads are. It's all the lads do. The boys make fun of each other. They're like, ha, ha, this is hilarious.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
So Harold goes up to Willie's room, and he finds him. And when Willie sees the haircut that Harry has given to himself, because, he can never take responsibility for anything he's done. It's always somehow Willie's fault. Willie laughs, just like all the other lads had laughed, because apparently it was a ridiculous haircut that he gave to himself. Now, here's the conversation that he's having with himself. I was just hoping that Willie would tell me that it would be okay. Don't freak out. Keep calm, Harold. Instead, he laughed like the others.
Stop it. Get some help.
I recall him sitting at his desk, bent over a book, chuckling, while I stood before him, fingering the nubs on my newly bare scalp. Harold, what have you done? What a question. He sounded like Stewie from Family Guy. Wasn't it obvious? You shouldn't have done it, Harold. So we're just stating the obvious now? He said a few more things that were immensely unhelpful, and I walked out. I think he's like 40 years old today. He actually thought it was a good idea to put this into the book, because it's supposed to make us understand how traumatizing his life was, because he shaved off his own head and to make his mates laugh. And then when his brother laughed, it was a trauma, because his brother was supposed to hold him and say, it's okay that you did this stupid thing. It's now somehow William's fault for not doing that. This is how this book goes on and on and on. Boring. Whatever Harry does, it's somebody else's fault, right? Harry can make no mistakes. Remember, notoriously, he says that he wore the Nazi costume to a party, but also that Will and Kate laughed at it. So he wants to share the blame in something that was so clearly his own decision making.
I am the one, the way your son don't need.
But this is, I guess, we're supposed to feel sad for him. All right, guys, the next portion of the show is going to be available exclusively on Daily Wire Plus. I'm going to be answering, am I the asshole questions from Reddit.